The decision that froze the NBA. LeBron James did not just change team. He shook the entire NBA like a thunderclap nobody saw coming. For 3 long weeks, the basketball world waited, guessed, argued, and chased every rumor like it was the final clue in one of the biggest free agency mysteries of his career. Miami thought it had a shot. Cleveland dreamed of one last homecoming. Golden State looked like the dangerous favorite, but when LeBron finally ended the silence, he did not choose nostalgia, comfort, or the obvious path. He chose Philadelphia, and that one decision instantly turned the 76ers from a dangerous team into the most talked about roster in basketball. The announcement hit so fast that players around the league barely had time to react. Some were shocked, some were excited, some sounded like they had just watched the whole summer collapse in real time. Jaylen Brown. Now suddenly LeBron's teammate kept it short and cold with the kind of message that told you everything. Throw the ball up. Tyrese Maxey reacted like a player who knew this was bigger than a signing. This was a championship alarm going off in Philadelphia. Because LeBron James, at 41 years old, is walking into a lineup with Joel Embiid, Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, and young talent around them. That is not a rebuild. That is not a farewell tour. That is a final swing at history. But the wildest part is not just where he went, it is how nobody saw it coming. For weeks, the league was locked in confusion. Reporters had no clear answer. Teams were waiting. Fans were reading every post, every quote, every rumor. Even the idea of retirement was floating over the story because LeBron admitted he had truly wondered if his last game had already been played. Then Philadelphia made its move. This was not about the biggest paycheck. This was about one last chance to win, one last city to energize, one last chapter where LeBron could prove that even after 2 decades, he still controls the temperature of the entire league. So now the question becomes simple. Did LeBron just make the smartest final decision of his career, or did he walk into the biggest pressure cooker in basketball? Before we go deeper, tell me where you're watching from right now. If you think LeBron and the Sixers can win the championship, press 1 inch the comment. If you think this move will fall apart under pressure, press 2. And if you want more NBA drama, trade news, and locker room stories like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now. The 3-week silence that drove the league crazy. Before Philadelphia became the answer, the entire NBA was trapped inside. One question, where was LeBron James going next? And the longer he stayed quiet, the louder the noise became. Every team executive, every insider, every fan page, and every player group chat seemed to have a different theory. One day, it felt like Miami was preparing for a reunion. The next day, Cleveland fans convinced themselves the hometown ending was finally coming. Then Golden State would suddenly look like the favorite again because the idea of LeBron sharing the floor with Stephen Curry was too powerful for the basketball world to ignore. But behind all the rumors, there was nothing solid. That was the part that made this saga feel different. LeBron was not rushing. His camp was not feeding the public easy answers. Rich Paul reportedly kept telling people that nobody really knew anything. And for once, that sounded less like agent talk and more like the truth. The league was not just waiting for a player to pick a team. It was waiting for one of the most powerful athletes in sports history to decide how he wanted the final stretch of his career to look. And that silence created pressure everywhere. Teams could not fully move on. Free agents were waiting. Front offices were keeping roster spots open. Fans were refreshing their phones. Like the next notification could change the entire NBA landscape. Even the schedule conversation got pulled into it. Because when LeBron's future is uncertain, national television games, rivalry matchups, and opening week storylines all hang in the air. What made it even more dramatic was the retirement shadow sitting over the whole thing. LeBron had already admitted he seriously thought about walking away. He had reached the point where the question was no longer just, which team will he choose? It was, does he even want to do this again? That changed the emotional weight of everything. This was not a young star chasing the next big contract. This was a 4-1-year-old legend asking himself if there was still enough fire left to go through another season. And then, when everyone thought they knew the map, Philadelphia came out of nowhere and ripped it up. Why Miami, Cleveland, and Golden State all missed? The strangest part of LeBron choosing Philadelphia is that the teams everyone expected had real reasons to believe they were still alive. Miami could offer history, Cleveland could offer emotion, Golden State could offer basketball imagination, but in the end, all three were chasing versions of LeBron that may no longer exist. Miami was selling the past. The Heat could always point back to the championship years. The culture, the discipline, the place where LeBron became the most feared player on earth. But that was a different LeBron in a different body, in a different era. Going back to Miami would have been romantic. but it also would have brought every old comparison back with it. Could he still dominate like 2012? Could he still carry that standard? Could he still survive the pressure of returning to a place where anything short of a title would feel like a disappointment? Cleveland had the most emotional pitch. If there is one ending that would have made casual fans feel like the story came full circle, it was LeBron going home one more time. He already delivered the city its miracle in 2016. He already gave Cleveland the parade it waited decades to see. A final Cavaliers chapter would have been beautiful, but beauty does not always win championships. And LeBron's final decision was not about making the cleanest documentary ending. It was about choosing the best battlefield. Golden State was the fantasy option. The idea of LeBron and Curry together could have broken the internet for a week straight. Fans wanted the highlights before the roster even existed. But the Warriors' path depended on timing, flexibility, and possibly other major moves. It felt massive, but it also felt complicated. And at this stage of LeBron's career, complicated may have been the one thing he could not afford. Philadelphia did not sell him a memory. It did not sell him a dream that required 5 other pieces to move first. The Sixers sold him urgency. They had Embiid, they had Maxey, then they added Jaylen Brown suddenly. The pitch became simple. You do not have to save us. You just have to complete us. And for superstar entering the final chapter, that may have been the one message stronger than nostalgia, stronger than fantasy, and stronger than home. Philadelphia did not wait. They attacked while other teams waited for LeBron to give them a signal. Philadelphia made the kind of move that forces a superstar to pay attention. The Sixers did not sit around hoping their name would rise in the rumor market. They changed the entire conversation by bringing in Jaylen Brown, and that trade was the moment this stopped being a long shot fantasy and became a real threat. On paper, the move was about championship ambition. Philadelphia gave up major assets because a team with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey could not keep acting like patience was the plan forever. Embiid's prime has been too fragile and too urgent. Maxey's rise has been too fast to waste. The city has waited too long, so when the Sixers landed Brown, they were not just upgrading a wing position, they were sending a message to every star in the league: this team is done waiting. But beneath the basketball logic was something more strategic. Jaylen Brown gave Philadelphia another respected veteran voice, another elite scorer, and another player LeBron could look at and say, that guy understands pressure. Brown had battled LeBron in the playoffs. He had grown from promising young player into finals level force. He was not some random name added to a pitch deck. He was proof that the Sixers were willing to sacrifice comfort for a real title window. Then Maxey became the emotional engine of the recruitment. His relationship with LeBron mattered because it did not feel fake. He had trained with him. He had learned from him. He had viewed him like a big brother. When Maxey called, it was not just a young guard begging a legend to come save his team. It was a rising star telling that legend, we are ready, and you do not have to carry the whole thing alone. Embiid brought a different pull. He represented the chance to play beside one of the most dominant big men alive. If healthy, Embiid gives LeBron something extremely valuable at this stage: a center who can punish the paint, draw pressure, and turn LeBron's passing into easy points without forcing him to be the first option every night. That was Philadelphia's real play. They built the answer before LeBron asked the final question. The contract that told the real story. When the numbers came out, they almost sounded impossible. 2 years, $8 million. For LeBron James, that is not just a discount. That is a statement written in bold letters across the entire league. This is a player who has earned superstar money for decades. A player whose value has gone far beyond the box score. A player who still sells tickets, drives television ratings, and turns any team into national news. And yet, he chose a deal that made people stop and ask what he was really chasing. That is why the contract became almost as important as the destination. If LeBron had taken the biggest offer available, the story would have been simple. One more payday, one more business move, one more season as the face of a franchise built around his name. But this deal told a different story. It suggested that LeBron understood exactly where he was in his career. The days of building everything around him for 5 straight years are over. The days of demanding every possession run through him are fading. The final version of LeBron may be more selective, more strategic, and maybe more dangerous because of it. He is not arriving in Philadelphia to be the entire system. He is arriving to become the piece that makes the system terrifying. That is a major shift. For most of his career, LeBron was the sun every roster orbited around him. Coaches adjusted to him, teammates adapted to him, opponents built game plans almost entirely around stopping him. But now, next to Embiid, Brown, and Maxey, LeBron can pick his moments, he can organize the floor, he can punish mismatches, he can control tempo, he can close possessions without having to carry every possession. And that may be exactly why this move is so dangerous. A younger LeBron overwhelmed teams with force. This older LeBron can hurt them with patience. He does not need to score 35 every night to control a playoff series. He just needs the right roster, the right spacing, and the right moment. The money said he was not chasing comfort. It said he was chasing one last real chance, the locker room. Nobody can ignore it. The basketball fit looks powerful, but the locker room is where this story could become either legendary or dangerous. Philadelphia now has a collection of personalities, histories, expectations, and pressure points that will be watched every single night. On paper, the lineup is terrifying. In reality, talent only becomes a championship team when egos, role, health, and sacrifice all move in the same direction. LeBron entering this room changes everything. Even if he is not the best player on the roster every night, his voice will be the loudest in the building because of what he represents. He has seen every version of NBA pressure. He has been the villain, the hero, the champion, the aging superstar, the face of a franchise, and the player everyone blames when the experiment fails. That experience can stabilize a team, but it can also create tension if younger stars feel the spotlight shifting away from what they have already built. Maxey may be the easiest fit emotionally because the respect is already there. He does not have to learn who LeBron is from a distance. He already understands the work, the preparation, the standard, but now the relationship changes. The mentor becomes a teammate. The big brother becomes someone taking shots, calling sets, and demanding accountability in real time. That is different. Brown's fit is fascinating because he has spent years competing against LeBron, not beside him. Respect is there. But chemistry is not automatic. Brown is used to being a major force with the ball. A two-way star who can change playoff games with his scoring and physicality, learning when to attack, when to space, when to defer, and when to lead will decide whether this roster feels smooth or crowded. Then there is Embiid. Everything in Philadelphia always comes back to Embiid. When healthy, he changes the ceiling of the whole team. When unavailable, every plan becomes harder. LeBron knows that, the Sixers know that, the league knows that this entire gamble depends on whether Embiid can stay upright when the games matter most. Because if he can, Philadelphia is not just dangerous. Philadelphia becomes the team nobody wants to see in May. The health gamble that could decide everything. Every great NBA super team has a hidden weakness. And for the Sixers, it is not hard to find. It is health. More specifically, it is Joel Embiid's health. That is the shadow sitting behind every celebration, every headline, every excited prediction, and every championship conversation. Philadelphia can have the names. Philadelphia can win the press conference. Philadelphia can dominate the rumor cycle. But if Embiid is not healthy when the postseason arrives, the entire dream starts shaking. That is what makes LeBron's decision so bold. He did not choose a perfect situation. He chose a high-risk, high-reward situation. A healthy Embiid gives him an elite interior partner, a dominant scoring, a defensive anchor, and the kind of pressure point that can collapse an entire playoff defense. But an injured Embiid turns the Sixers from overwhelming to vulnerable almost instantly. And LeBron, at this stage of his career, does not have unlimited time to wait for luck. That is why the regular season will be a balancing act. The Sixers cannot treat every night like a playoff game, because burning out their core before April would be reckless. But they also cannot coast so much that chemistry never forms. LeBron needs reps with Embiid. Brown needs rhythm with Maxey. The coaching staff needs to know which lineups close games. Everybody needs to understand spacing, defensive assignments, and late game hierarchy before the postseason turns small problems into giant ones. The East will not feel sorry for them. Every arena will treat the Sixers like a national event. Every bad loss will become a debate show segment. Every missed game will create panic. Every awkward possession will become evidence for people who want this experiment to fail. But that is also what LeBron signed up for. Pressure has never been new to him. The difference now is that he is not trying to prove he can carry a franchise alone. He is trying to prove he can help complete one. And if Philadelphia stays healthy, that might be scarier than any version of this story people expect. The ripple effect across the NBA. LeBron choosing Philadelphia did not just change one team. It forced the rest of the league to recalculate. That is what happens when a player of his stature makes a decision this late in the market. Teams that thought they were still alive suddenly had to pivot. Front offices that kept options open had to move quickly. Free agents still waiting for the LeBron domino had to accept that the board had changed without them. Cleveland now has to live with the emotional miss for fans. The idea of one final return probably felt too perfect to ignore, but perfect stories do not always become real. The Cavaliers have to move forward without the dream of another LeBron homecoming, and that is easier to say than to accept when his name still carries so much history in that city. Miami has a different kind of problem. The Heat are always confident in their culture, always convinced they can attract stars, always operating like they are one move away from turning pressure into opportunity. But this time, LeBron did not come back. The old bond was not enough. The championship memories were not enough. And for Miami, that has to sting because it means the past could not beat Philadelphia's present. Golden State may have the most painful basketball what if. The idea of LeBron and Curry together will now live as another almost story another fantasy lineup fans will argue about forever. Maybe it was never as close as people thought. Maybe the timing was never right, but the image was too powerful. And when something that big fails to happen, the disappointment still feels real. Meanwhile, Philadelphia becomes the league's new pressure point. Every contender now has to ask one question. Do we have enough to beat that? Not just enough talent, but enough size, enough shot creation, enough discipline, enough defensive versatility, enough toughness to survive a series against Embiid, Brown, Maxey, and LeBron. That is the true power of this signing. It changes expectations before a single game is played. It makes some teams look smaller. It makes some plans feel outdated. And it gives the NBA a new villain, a new headline machine, and a new title threat all at once. LeBron's final role may be his most fascinating. For more than 20 years, LeBron James has been defined by control. He controlled games, controlled pace, controlled franchises, controlled conversations, and controlled expectations in ways almost no athlete ever has. But in Philadelphia, the most interesting part of his final chapter may be that he no longer has to control everything. That does not mean he becomes ordinary. It means he becomes different, and different might be exactly what extends his impact. Imagine LeBron not needing to attack the rim every possession. Imagine him reading the floor while Embiid draws double team. Imagine him finding Brown in transition, Maxey flying into open space, shooters lifting from the corners, and defenses having to choose which star they are willing to leave alone. That is not the same LeBron system the league has spent decades trying to solve. That is LeBron inside someone else's loaded system, using his brain as much as his body. This version of him may not lead the league in explosive highlight, but he can still lead a team in moments. The late clock pass, the defensive call before the offense even runs the play, the calm possession after a 12-2 run, the mismatch hunt that turns a close game into a 6-point lead, the playoff adjustment that a younger player might not see until film the next morning. That is why calling him a third or fourth option almost feels misleading. He may not be the first scoring option, but he can still be the first decision maker when the game tightens. And in the playoffs, decision-making becomes everything. The challenge is pride. Can one of the greatest players ever fully embrace a role that does not always put him at the center of the box score? Can the Sixers benefit from LeBron's mind without becoming trapped by LeBron's legend? Can the younger stars keep growing while an all-time icon stands beside them? Those questions are what make this chapter so compelling. This is not just LeBron chasing another ring. This is LeBron testing whether greatness can evolve without disappearing. The last decision and the lesson behind it, when the shock finally fades, this move will be judged by something simple and unforgiving. Did it work? Not did it dominate headline. Not did it win the summer. Not did it create the most dramatic free agency twist of the year. Did LeBron James choosing the Philadelphia 76ers actually bring the franchise closer to a championship? Strategically, the logic is clear. Philadelphia gave LeBron something the other contenders could not present as cleanly: a ready-made core with star power, relationships, urgency, and a role that does not require him to be Superman every night. Embiid gives them interior dominance. Maxey gives them speed and energy. Brown gives them two-way strength and playoff credibility. LeBron gives them leadership, bossing, experience, and the kind of late-game intelligence that can tilt a series, but the pressure is just as real as the upside. The Sixers are no longer a team people can describe as dangerous if healthy. They are now a team that will be expected to win immediately. Every national TV game will be treated like a referendum. Every Embiid injury update will become a panic button. Every awkward fourth quarter will turn into a debate about chemistry, and every time LeBron looks tired, the basketball world will ask whether this final chapter came one season too late. That is the risk. Philadelphia accepted they did not build a quiet contender. They built a headline machine. They built a roster that can either become one of the most memorable late career championship stories ever, or one of the most dissected failures in modern NBA history. There may be no middle ground for LeBron, the lesson is even deeper. Sometimes the final chapter of a career is not about proving you can still do everything alone. Sometimes it is about knowing what battles are worth choosing, what sacrifices are worth making, and what kind of environment gives you the best chance to finish with peace instead of regret. LeBron did not pick the biggest paycheck. He did not pick the easiest emotional story. He picked the place where he believed the mission still made sense. And that is why this decision feels different. It is not just another superstar chasing a ring. It is a legend admitting that greatness has to evolve. The younger version of LeBron could bend an entire franchise around his will. This version has to win through timing, trust, humility, and precision. He has to know when to lead, when to pass, when to let Embiid dominate, when to let Maxey run, when to let Brown attack, and when to step forward in the one moment only he can control. That is something every athlete, every fan, and every person chasing a goal can understand. Legacy is not only built by being the loudest person in the room, it is also built by adapting, trusting others, accepting a new role, and still finding a way to serve something bigger than yourself. There is a human lesson inside this basketball drama. Even the greatest people eventually reach a point where strength is not about carrying everything alone. Sometimes strength is choosing the right team, the right moment, and the right purpose. If this works, LeBron's Philadelphia chapter could become one of the most surprising endings in NBA history. It could change how people talk about aging superstars, sacrifice, and late career reinvention. It could give Embiid the playoff breakthrough his career has been chasing. It could elevate Maxey from rising star to championship guard. It could give Brown another defining chapter after already proving himself on the biggest stage. And it could give Philadelphia the kind of basketball moment its fans have been starving for across generations. If it fails, people will call it another super team gamble that collapsed under injury, pressure, and expectations. They will say the roster was too old, too fragile, too crowded, or too late. They will replay every missed shot, every tense timeout, every bad body language clip, and every rumor from inside the locker room. That is the price of building something this loud. When you invite the spotlight, you also invite the criticism. But either way, the NBA has already been reminded of one thing: LeBron James still matters. At 41, he can still freeze a league. He can still shift power. He can still make players react. Teams panic, and fans argue deep into the night. He may not be the same unstoppable force who once ran through the league with pure athletic dominance, but his presence still changes the math for everyone else. Now, the story belongs to the court. Philadelphia has the names. LeBron has the final challenge. The rest of the league has been warned, and fans are about to find out whether this was a masterstroke, a miracle, or the most dramatic gamble of LeBron's career. If you believe LeBron and the Sixers can turn this into a championship, press 1 inch the comment. If you think the pressure, injuries, and chemistry will break them before the finals, press 2. Tell us where you are watching from. Subscribe to the channel for more NBA news and drama. Share this video with another basketball fan. And hit the like button if you want more stories like this.